There is a city where the police patrol in supercars, where a ski slope 400 meters long runs inside a shopping mall under 6,000 tons of snow, while the desert outside bakes past 40 degrees, and where islands were drawn onto the sea in the shape of a palm tree, using satellites to keep the fronds straight. This is Dubai, the fishing village of pearl divers that became the world's showroom in a single human lifetime, crowned by the Burj Khalifa, 828 meters of tower, the tallest thing our species has ever built. But here is what the skyline never tells you. Roughly 85 out of every 100 people in this city are not citizens of it. The Emiratis, the people whose grandfathers dived for pearls in this bay, are a minority in their own hometown. Dubai is the most photographed city of the century, and one of the least understood, because the real story is not the gold. It is the arrangement, who builds the dream, who owns it, who visits it, and who gets to call it home. Zoom out, and Dubai should not be here. A strip of salt flats and dunes on the Persian Gulf. One of the hottest inhabited places on Earth. Summer heat that closes playgrounds, humidity that fogs sunglasses in seconds, and virtually no fresh water. No river, no lake. Rain measured in single centimetres a year. What the location did offer was position. The Gulf sits between Europe, Africa and Asia, and the creek that cuts into Dubai's shoreline gave traders a sheltered harbour on the sea road between them. For centuries that creek was the whole city. Wooden dhows, coral stone houses, wind towers, ingenious chimneys that caught the breeze and pulled it down into rooms, air conditioning before electricity. Today the geography has been overruled. Desalination plants drink the Gulf and pipe it to fountains and golf courses. Air conditioning runs not just in homes but in bus stops. And where the coast ran out of beachfront, the city built more seafront. 120 million cubic meters of sand dredged into the palm. Dubai is what happens when a place refuses its own geography. But that refusal was not born of vanity. It was born of a catastrophe almost nobody outside the Gulf remembers, the day the sea stopped paying. The creek itself carries the memory, the wooden dhows still moor along it, loading refrigerators and tyres for Iran and East Africa, exactly as their predecessors loaded dates and cloth, the oldest trade route in the city, running parallel to the newest skyline, unbothered by it. Old men who dived for pearls in their youth live to see their grandsons manage marinas. The city keeps a pearling museum, and the divers' songs are taught to schoolchildren as heritage. Dubai moves fast, but it files its past carefully, the one possession the boom never asked it to sell. For centuries, this coast lived by holding its breath. Every summer, fleets of dhows sailed out and men dived. No tanks, nose clips of bone, baskets of rope, down to the oyster beds, over and over, day after day. The pearls they brought up lit the lamps of Bombay and Paris. It was brutal work, and it was everything: food, debt, marriage, status, all priced in pearls. Then, in the space of a single decade, the entire world ended. The Great Depression crushed luxury spending, and Japan perfected the cultured pearl, growing in years what divers gambled their lungs for. By the 1930s, the pearl market was gone. Families who had sailed for generations went hungry on the beach. Remember that trauma, because Dubai's every decision since is an answer to it. Never again depend on one fragile trade. Oil came late here, August 1966. At the offshore Fateh field, and modestly. Unlike its neighbour Abu Dhabi, Dubai's reserves were small and everyone knew it. So the ruling Al Maktoum family made the great bet: spend the oil before it runs out, not on palaces, but on plumbing for globalization. Dredge the creek. Build, in the middle of nowhere, the giant Jebel Ali port. Launch an airline in 1985 with 2 leased planes, Emiratis, and aim it at every capital on Earth. The bet was simple and audacious. If Dubai could not be rich in resources, it would become the place resources, goods, and people pass through. The oil is now a footnote in its economy. The position is the product. And to run that product, Dubai imported something no city had ever imported at this scale: almost an entire population. Follow one worker to see the machine from inside. A driver from Kerala wakes before 5 in a shared room in Al Quoz, prays, and messages his daughter's school fees home before his shift. The transfer apps are the true national infrastructure of his Dubai. His employer holds his contract, his visa holds to his employer, his plan holds to a number, so many years, so much saved. A house rising brick by brick in a village he sees on video calls. Around him, a million versions of the same equation run in parallel. Nurses banking night shifts, engineers stacking tax-free years, waiters converting tips into tuition on other continents. Dubai's truest export has never been oil or images. It is remittances, rivers of small salvations, wired home every payday. Walk through Dubai at 6 in the morning and the city introduces its real self. Filipino baristas opening cafes. Indian and Pakistani drivers lining up outside labour camps for buses to construction sites. Kenyan security guards changing shifts. British consultants jogging the marina. Emiratis in white kandura arriving at government offices. One city, running on about 200 nationalities, in a place where citizens number roughly 1 in 10. Almost everyone here is on a visa tied to a job. That single fact organises everything. Dubai has no income tax. The salary you earn is the salary you keep. And for millions across South Asia, Africa and the Middle East, that math changes family histories. A nurse or a driver here can school children and build a house back home. The city runs on remittances flowing out and ambition flowing in. But the same arrangement has a flaw and a penthouse very far apart. In Dira and Al Quoz, men who pour the concrete share rooms and send nearly everything home, their years measured in contracts. In the Marina Towers, expat professionals live resort lives they could never afford in London or Sydney. The distance between those two Dubais can be a single highway exit, and moving between them is the city's real sport. What almost no one has here is permanence. For decades, the rule was simple. You come, you work, you leave. Retirement meant departure, and even a child born here inherits the parent's passport, not the city. Recently the door has opened a crack, 10-year golden visas for investors, doctors and star employees. But the principle stands. Dubai is a city nearly everyone serves and nearly no one owns. And yet, this is the part outsiders miss. The machine is seductive to live in. It is clean. It is safe at 3 a.m. It works. Metro trains glide driverless. Packages arrive in hours. Government paperwork happens on an app. Dubai discovered something uncomfortable about the modern soul. Convenience, sunshine and zero income tax will draw millions, even without a vote, and even in August. The deal is efficiency for routes. Whether that trade can hold for a lifetime is the question every resident eventually asks the mirror. What the city offers instead of routes is spectacle, and the spectacle deserves its own chapter. First, understand what the spectacle is for. Dubai's records are not vanity purchases, they are customer acquisition. Every world's tallest, world's biggest, world's first is engineered to do what oil could never do for this emirate, make a stopover city unskippable. The strategy has a name among planners, the Bilbao effect, scaled to a nation, and the numbers vindicate it. The malls, towers and islands photograph themselves. The photographs summon the tourists, and the tourists fund the next record. The showroom is the factory. But the city's actual social life happens at ground level, in rooms the cameras rarely enter. Friday remains the week's hinge, mosque at noon, family lunch stretching into evening, the parks filling after sunset, with picnicking families from Kerala and Cairo alike, sharing the same cooling grass. Ramadan reveals the city's other face best. The pace slackens, horns quiet, and at sunset the iftar tents open to anyone, labourer or executive, with dates and laban and biryani, served in a rare hour when the city's parallel worlds share one table. Start with the obvious. Dubai does superlatives the way other cities do street signs. The tallest tower, 828 metres of Burj Khalifa, visible from 90 kilometres on a clear day. The Palm, with 80,000 residents living on engineered sand. The mall, with an aquarium wall the size of a cinema screen. The indoor mountain of snow beside the desert. None of this is accidental excess. The spectacle is the industry. Every record is a billboard aimed at tourists, investors, and headlines. But under the showroom, an older city persists, quieter and easy to miss. Cross the creek by Abra, the wooden water taxi that costs almost nothing, and you land in souks that still smell of cardamom, oud, and gold solder. In Ramadan, the city's rhythm inverts, days go soft and slow, and at sunset the iftar cannons fire, and long tables fill from mosque courtyards to labour camps, the 1 month when all the Dubais eat at the same hour. Emirati culture itself lives mostly out of tourist view, in the majlis, the cushioned sitting rooms where families and neighbours take coffee poured from the dalla in tiny cups, where marriages are discussed and disputes settled, in falconry weekends in the dunes, in the camel races out on the desert highways, where the jockeys are now remote-controlled robots and the owners follow in SUVs, shouting into radios. That is the strange cultural truth of Dubai. The minority hosts, the majority builds and staffs, and the visitor sees mostly the stage set. 3 cities sharing one skyline, and above all of them, the same desert sun that has always set the real rules here. The city's relationship with its desert has a ceremonial side the brochures undersell. Winter weekends empty whole neighbourhoods toward the dunes. Convoys deflate their tyres at the sand's edge. Families pitch carpets and coffee flasks on the ridgelines. And the desert, lethal in August, becomes the Emirates' living room in January. Falcons, once the hunting partners of survival, are now athletes with passports. The birds fly time trials at desert tracks, and a champion falcon can cost more than the SUV that carries it. The old Bedouin skills survive as sport, as status, and as memory. The Emirate keeps its past the way it keeps everything, professionally managed and genuinely loved. Drive 40 minutes inland and Dubai vanishes. The dunes take over, apricot-coloured, sculpted daily by wind, rolling toward the empty quarter, one of the largest sand deserts on earth. This is the landscape that made the old coast so poor and so tough. And Emiratis return to it on weekends like visiting a strict grandparent, dune bashing in convoys, camping under stars, flying falcons at dawn. The sea is the other half of the inheritance, the turquoise Gulf shallows that once held the oyster beds. Off the coast today, the artificial archipelagos host villas where the pearl banks used to be. The divers' descendants own some of the most expensive waterfront on the planet. But nature here was never scenery. It is a bill collector. Summer is a season to be survived indoors, and climate change is raising the stakes on a city built at sea level on reclaimed sand. The desalination plants that keep 4 million people alive make the Gulf saltier as they drink it. And when rare storms do come, the desert city floods spectacularly because rain was never in the design brief. Dubai beat its geography faster than any city in history. Whether it can keep paying the desert's rising invoice, that is a longer game. And it is not the only long game the city is playing. Every honest portrait of Dubai carries this chapter. The city that rose in one generation was poured, brick by men from Kerala, Punjab, Dhaka, and Kathmandu, recruited through agents, housed in camps, working through heat the rest of the world would call unworkable. The kafala sponsorship system tied each worker to an employer, and for years reports of withheld passports and unpaid wages followed the cranes. Reforms have come in waves: wage protection systems, mobility rules, midday work bans in summer, and conditions today are debated between genuine progress and unfinished business. What is not debated is the arithmetic. The dream was built by people who could never afford to live in it. There are other line items. An economy this dependent on image is allergic to bad news, and the press here knows its boundaries. The 2008 crash nearly broke the city, cranes froze, and neighbouring Abu Dhabi's bailout is written into the Burj Khalifa's very name, changed overnight from Burj Dubai in thanks. And there is the deeper question that golden visas only postpone. What is a city where almost nobody is from, when the workers retire home and the expats move on? Who remembers a place everyone leaves? Dubai's answer, so far, is motion. Build the next thing, host the next million, stay the world's stopover. It is a city that solved every problem except standing still. Looking back across the whole journey, Dubai stops looking like a mirage and starts looking like something much older wearing new glass. The Gulf always had caravan cities, ports where the world's traders met, worked, profited, and moved on. Cities that belonged less to their citizens than to their function. Dubai took that ancient model, added jet fuel, air conditioning, and 828 meters of skyline, and scaled it to 4 million people. The pearl divers' great-grandchildren no longer hold their breath for a living. They host the planet instead, a planet that builds their city, staffs it, photographs it, and rarely gets to keep it. Real life behind the world's most artificial city turns out to be the most human story there is. Millions of people from 200 countries, each converting years of heat and distance into a better story for their families somewhere else. Dubai is not just the tallest tower, the palm-shaped islands, and the gold souks. It is a reminder that a city can be built from nothing but position and will, and that the harder question, the one Dubai has left for its second century, is not how to be spectacular. It is how to be home